In almost every coming-of-age movie or TV show, there is a grand romance for the main character. Dating has always been a sort of rite of passage for teenagers and young adults, but along with dating, there's also much discussion about dating preferences. Who people want to date, and who they specifically don't. And one of the most prominent questions is it bigotry to not want to date fat people? And is it ableist to not want to date disabled people? And are fatphobic dating preferences a form of ableism?
If your preference excludes an entire marginalized group, including fat people, it's not a preference, it's bigotry. I don't care if you're respectful to my face. A fatphobic bigot is still a bigot.
Or like a lot of times people will be like, oh, well, I don't want a fat person as a romantic partner because they can't do adventures and activities. It's like, actually, no, you don't want a disabled person because they can't do activities. You don't want a fat person because you're fatphobic.
Jay's controversial fat take time. Fewer what I eat in a day videos with a very look how healthy I am, look how normal my portions are subtext. More, you can eat whatever you want and calories are made up. Less using ableism and healthism to defend against fat phobia. More radical body inclusion that includes both disabled people and fat people. Less throwing disabled and unhealthy people under the bus, more including them and recognizing we all have unified goals.
By saying that, I only want to date someone who takes care of themselves. How do fat people not take care of themselves? You can prefer to not date someone who's a piece of shit, sure. But if you say, I don't date fat people, period, that is fatphobia.
Today, we are going to try to answer the question, should being fat be directly compared to ableism? And is it bigotry to not want to date someone because they are fat or disabled? And for the sake of simplicity in this video, when I say fat, I am talking about people that are very overweight. Visibly very fat, because those are the people who are most often targeted for being unhealthy and the people most often referenced as a group of people that others don't want to date. Picture Tess Holliday's size. Also, the focus of this video is going to be specifically on women because I've never really seen other people jumping into talking about these type of fatphobic dating preferences and ableism and whatnot. So sorry to anyone else. So to start out, is it ableist to not want to date someone that is unhealthy and or disabled? The short answer is no. But first, let's distinguish that being fat and being disabled are two different things. You can be disabled and fat, but you can also be disabled and fat and not disabled. Being disabled is something that, for the most part, a person doesn't have control of. There are a very, very small percentage of obese people that have no control over the fact that they are obese. A very small percentage. But even things like PCOS and other illnesses don't automatically doom someone to being overweight. There are still ways to manage your weight, even with those type of hormonal disorders. So weight is something that is mutable and can be controlled by someone's individual actions. Being disabled is not. But what about food addiction and binge eating disorder? That's a good point. When it comes to food addiction and binge eating disorder, the lines between disabled people and fat people can get blurry because they usually cause people to gain weight, and it could be seen as a disability. But it still isn't ableist to not want to date someone that is struggling with food addiction or binge eating disorder. Eating disorders of all kind are tough to deal with. Anorexia is one of the most deadly mental illnesses in the world. And not wanting a partner that is struggling with something that serious is not something that someone should be chastised for wanting to opt out of. I personally don't have the emotional resiliency to start a relationship with someone that is battling an eating disorder of any kind, be it binging, anorexia, food addiction, whatever. And that should be okay to acknowledge and to be open about. It is a lot of mental stress to have a partner that is mentally or physically unhealthy, especially at the beginning of a relationship. And it would be a disservice to everyone to lie to yourself or others and say that a potential partner's health isn't an issue when you know it could be. I would rather have someone tell me up front that my disability is a problem for them, rather than have both of our time and energy wasted pretending that it isn't. So not wanting to date someone that is unhealthy is not inherently ableist. But let's further break down why being fat and being disabled are not one and the same. When it comes to being fat, I think for most people, especially as they get old, they prioritize their health less as life gets busy. And in a day and age where a lack of focus on your physical health can easily lead to consuming a lot of fast food and convenience foods, you can see why someone would gain weight if they are not paying attention to their diets. And even if you grew up fat, there are means of losing weight as an adult. Most of the work comes from, again, making your physical health a priority. And this shift in priorities may include putting in a lot of effort to do a major overhaul of all of the lifestyle habits that got you to being fat, and also to make those habits sustainable, so the weight loss is also sustainable. And in this scenario, I am not talking about people that live in food deserts that, in theory, would have a lot of trouble losing weight because they don't have access to fresh foods. But let's be honest, those people aren't the ones complaining about the world being fatphobic to them for not wanting to date them. They have bigger problems to deal with, like the fact that they're living in a food desert. So being really overweight comes from chronic overeating and a lack of prioritization of someone's physical health. And those are the main reasons a lot of people may not want to date someone that is very overweight. But when it comes to disabilities, it is very different. The vast majority of disabilities aren't a result of a lack of prioritization of someone's individual health, but they are caused by outside factors. So you can't directly compare fatphobia to ableism. And when it comes to the question of, is it ableist to not want to date someone with a specific disability, the answer is still no, and here's why. The range of disabilities people have is vast. You run the gamut from neurodivergency, autoimmune disorders, mental illnesses, mobility issues, allergies, the list goes on. And there are always some disabilities that someone will and will not be able to accommodate in their life. As I said, I don't have the emotional capacity to start a relationship with someone that is actively dealing with an eating disorder or an addiction. That's just me. For some people, that may be fine. And for another person who really loves hiking and rustic camping, dating someone that is in a wheelchair may not be good for them. Whereas another person who's more of a homebody and likes bowling may find dating someone in a wheelchair perfectly compatible with their life. Or for another person, dating someone that's autistic that may like a very rigid schedule may work for them if they also like fixed rigid schedules. But for someone who has a very sporadic schedule, the relationship may not work. So if you are trying to achieve a relationship where you and your partner are both happy and fulfilled, you should know yourself and your life enough to know that there will be some disabilities that are going to be compatible with your life and your personality, and some that aren't. And I know there are some people who are willing to do major overhauls on their lifestyle in order to accommodate a disabled partner. And that is fine. If you want to do that, then you can do that. But I don't think that should be expected, or someone should be called a bigot or ableist if they know that those types of accommodations aren't something that they are willing to do or something that they would be happy with. And as for the blanket statement, I won't date disabled people, I personally have never heard anyone say this without any clarifiers, but if someone does say this, I usually give them the benefit of the doubt and say that their view on what disabled means is very limited, and they should probably be more clear about what disability they're talking about, or get more education on the range of what disabilities are. But unlike disabilities that come with a very wide range of causes and lifestyle accommodations for a potential partner, being overweight has pretty much one cause: overeating. And my particular issue with a lot of the people saying that it's fatphobic to not want to date someone that's fat is that a lot of these people also loudly proclaim that they have a right to eat whatever they want, whenever they want, and however much they want, and that they shouldn't be judged for it. Virgie Tovar is one of the most prominent fat activists, and her book is called You Have a Right to Remain Fat. I haven't read the book, but I think the title says enough. You do have a right to remain fat. But then she'll also say things like this.
There's a lot more, like obviously higher weight people experience weight discrimination in the dating world, the horrible reality that higher weight people face on every front, from like clothing to jobs to healthcare to access to romantic relationships.
Let's ignore how incel-like the phrase access to romantic relationships is. But she says that she has a right to remain fat and to eat whatever she wants, but then she complains and calls it oppression when people don't find her chronic overeating and open lack of regard for her health undesirable for a potential partner. And these same people that will claim that they get to eat whatever they want will also compare their size, which is a result of their right to eat limitlessly, to disabled people. From the creators I showed at the beginning of the video talking about how fatphobia and ableism are linked, this one says, I eat low nutrient and I don't exercise and I still deserve respect. And this other one says, I can 1000% lose weight if I want to. So they are acknowledging that their size is a result of overeating, and yet they still compare their size and the consequences of their size to disabled people who did not have a choice in being disabled. And to me, all of this is a clear sign that being fat and being disabled should not be discussed together. But it also shows a general disrespect and tokenization of disabled people to further a selfish agenda that fat people are unrightfully discriminated against. I think that if you have ever proclaimed that you have a right to be fat or a right to be unhealthy or health is not a moral obligation in defense of being very overweight, you are all but admitting that your body size is within your control and you don't have a right to compare your plight to disabled people. You do have a right to eat whatever you want, whenever you want, and however much you want. But that doesn't give you a right to not deal with any of the consequences of those decisions, be it the social implications of dating or the physical ailments that come with it.
But what about all the tweets and comments I see all the time about how people won't date fat women? That seems pretty fatphobic to me.
Now, before I get too deep into this topic, I want to ask a question. How many times have you been in a comment section of a fat man, be it one on TikTok or YouTube or anywhere else, and seen a comment like, nobody will ever love you because you're fat? Or, sorry, I can't watch you because I don't find you attractive. You should lose some weight. I've personally never seen this in a man's comment section, but it is a semi-regular occurrence for some fat women, which goes to show that people leaving mean comments about a woman's size aren't really doing it because they're fat. It's because you're a woman, and putting you down for your size is the easiest way to insult you in that moment. It's misogyny masked as fatphobia. I always hear stories of people saying a man on social media or at a club said I'm ugly because I'm fat and they're not attracted to me. Yeah, that dude is just being a dick. But rest assured, if there was an easier way for him to insult you in that moment that wasn't about your size, he probably would have. I was once in a bar wearing a sundress and Converse because reasons. But a dude came up to me at the bar and was like, that's a really nice dress, but the tennis shoes are a bit of a turnoff. You should try some heels next time. First of all, we are in a crowded bar, packed wall to wall. You did a little shimmy and a turn and a tiptoe through all the people in this bar so you could look at my feet? Weirdo. And also, why do I care about turning you on? I don't know you. But that just goes to show, if someone wants to find a way to insult you, or simply feels entitled to seeing exactly what they want in front of them, they will find a way to let you know. I have friends that have been told by men, unprovoked, that they are unattractive because they have too many tattoos, or because of their piercings, or because of their hairstyle. But anyway, most often when you hear someone being loud about the fact that they won't date fat people, it is men. And this TikTok summarizes a lot of my thoughts on this phenomenon.
Men will literally put no fatties on their account, and no one bats a eye. I say I only date men above 6 feet tall, and suddenly everyone's like, you shallow bitch. They can't control their height. You can control your weight. And don't get me twisted. This is not about men who like don't want to date plus size women, and like they're like whatever about it. They're like, not my thing, not my cake. I'm talking specifically about those uggos who will be like, oh, I will date a girl over 120.
I pretty much agree with this TikTok. To me, saying no fatties is like saying no tiny shrimpy boys. Like, if you're into tall people or skinny people, go off. But putting in a phrase like no fatties, you know you're being an ass. And if you do have a preference, Just don't be weird about it. And the people she's referencing that are casual about saying that fat women aren't really my thing, those are the people I'm referencing when it comes to dating preferences outside of this portion of the video. And to be clear, I think there are a lot of women who also prefer to not date fat people. They just tend to be quieter about that preference. But usually when people go out of their way to say, I don't date fat people, it's almost always men, and it is almost always meant as a covert or overt way of calling an individual woman or a group of women ugly. Which is why I would label this type of dating preference not as fatphobic, but as misogyny. But all people who are loud and proud about their dating preferences, be it not wanting to date fat women, or Asian men, or black women, or short men, or women with tattoos, all of them fall into their own subcategory of internet weirdness. And I think if you're firing off tweet after tweet about all the people you won't date, I can tell you you're probably not in a position to be limiting yourself that much. And also, who asked? But anyway, those people who are unrelenting about telling everyone about their dating preferences are not the main discussion of this video.
Hey, fat people can be healthy. I'm really big, but I eat a lot of fruits and vegetables, and I exercise every day. So assuming I'm unhealthy at my size is a horrible generalization.
Well, that's great that you eat vegetables and you exercise. That doesn't change the fact that being very overweight is unhealthy. A chronic smoker could get 30 minutes of exercise daily, eat 10 servings of vegetables per day, and get 8 hours of sleep every night. It doesn't change the fact that constantly smoking is exposing yourself to a laundry list of health problems down the road, just like obesity. You may have a lower risk of health problems if you still have some healthy habits like regular exercise, but that doesn't negate all the major long-term risks that come from being very overweight. And for the record, this is the reason I also wouldn't date a smoker.
Well, just to let you know, a lot of people gain weight over time because aging and just natural things that happen to our body. So your thin partner might become fat. What are you going to do? Get rid of them? Divorce them? Drop them off at the curb? No, I'd like a return policy on this. Like, think logically about these things.
No, I don't expect to leave a partner the second they become unhealthy. But there are still valid reasons for trying to choose a partner that is healthy at the beginning of your relationship. The vows people usually take in the United States to get married include the phrase, I will stand by you in sickness and in health. And even if you aren't married, most romantic relationships have this sort of expectation to some extent. But trying to choose a partner that is healthy today isn't about assuming that that partner will be healthy forever. It's about having reassurance that that person has the knowledge and tools necessary to weather those times that are in sickness and not in health. For example, when it comes to financial health, I might choose a partner that has diligently paid off their student loan debt and keeps a monthly budget over someone that has $10,000 in credit card debt with no intention of paying it off and no budget. And it's not necessarily because I don't expect to ever have financial hardships in my relationships, but because I can be more assured that if one of us loses our job and we need to cut back on spending, the person with a budget and a good understanding of their finances will buckle down and reduce their spending to help get us through this hard time. Whereas the person with no budget and a lot of credit card debt may not have the financial understanding to cut back on their spending, which may make the entire situation significantly worse for both of us. And when it comes to physical health, you could end up with the same problem. Like if my partner gets into a bad car accident, I want to be assured that they will take the proper steps to recover, like going to physical therapy, taking their medication, going to their follow-up doctor's appointments. But if my partner has consistently shown that they don't prioritize their physical health, or they have outright stated that they have a right to be unhealthy if they want to, can I trust that they will actually do what needs to be done to improve their health when bad times do come? It is already a stressful time to see your partner being sick, and it's even worse when you can tell that they don't care about improving their health. I never want to have to be in a position where I have to beg my partner to care about their own health. I never want that to happen. If I am taking a vow, implicitly or explicitly, to stand by you when you are sick, then I believe my partner owes it to me to take care of themselves as much as possible. So choosing a partner that is healthy right now isn't about assuming that they will always be healthy, but knowing that when hard times inevitably do come, your partner has the skills and knowledge to get through those times as gracefully and quickly as possible.
Hey, you act like losing weight is so easy, but it isn't. I've struggled with my weight my whole life, and I don't think it's fair that people won't date me because of something I struggled to change.
Just because you struggle to lose weight, that doesn't make someone else fatphobic for not wanting to date you. And we can go back to the money example to explain this. I would say that most people in the United States grow up with poor money habits. So when they get to adulthood, they have poor financial literacy. That is a tough thing to change. Developing all new money habits is hard. But as I said before, I'm not dating someone with a bunch of credit card debt that doesn't know how to make a basic budget. Is it fair that I'm discounting a lot of people whose parents may not have given them proper financial literacy skills in childhood? No. But am I unrightfully discriminating against the financially illiterate? Also no. And when it comes to your weight, if you have been fat your whole life and your size becomes that much of a problem, be it for health reasons or dating reasons, then take the steps to change it. It may not be easy. It may be a lifelong process. It may be unfair that your parents didn't give you healthy dietary habits as a child. But if widening your dating pool is that big of a deal for you, then putting in the effort to lose the weight is your best option. It's not the world's job to change their preferences to accommodate you. But not everyone is like me. Not everyone has a preference of not dating fat people. I know plenty of people that are very overweight, that have had long-term loving relationships. I have a friend that has a boyfriend, and they are both very large, like 300 pounds, both of them. And she's regularly telling me stories of what they do together, like going out to Taco Bell at 2 a.m., or challenging each other to see how fast they can drink one of those massive 7-Eleven slushies. And to them, that is romantic. She talks about all these things really fondly, and I have no issue with any of that. They seem happy, so who am I to tell them that the way they're living is wrong? But not everyone finds late-night fast food trips romantic. And I know not everyone who's overweight eats fast food into the late hours of the night or anything like that, but there are almost certainly major lifestyle factors that come with being very overweight that other people may not like in a partner. Like this old TikTok about a woman disliking men that eat salads.
Guys who are super athletic gym buffs.
Yeah.
I don't want to swipe on them because if all they care about is working out, and this is like me being very judgy.
Yeah.
Are you gonna be down to eat a cheeseburger at 2 a.m.?
I will say that, like, I did date a guy who was really into health, and eating together was weird. Because, you know, he'd be like, I'm in training. He was eating greens. It was always seafood, it was always a green, and it was always rice. It's like, this has no flavor, it doesn't even have butter in it. This is horrible. It would be like greens with no vinaigrette even. You're like, I'm choking on this. You can't just eat a dry arugula.
You want the guy who's gonna like after you hook up, like is down to go eat a snack in the kitchen while you're naked.
If he's not making you grilled cheese, who is he?
He's not worth it.
He's not invited back to this bed.
No.
I'll tell you that much.
He can walk right outside.
Exactly.
Hopefully it's in the winter so he freezes.
Bye, bitch.
If this woman wants a partner that will eat burgers with her after sex, then she should find that person. And if a dude wants a woman that will eat dry salad with him, he should find her. But nobody should be bitter or angry or chastising other people for not having compatible lives or having inconsistent priorities with us and what we want for our lives. And we should also be honest with ourselves and others about what traits and priorities are and are not okay with us in relationships. I personally will never apologize for wanting a partner that prioritizes their health, in all respects, be it financial, physical, mental, whatever. And while discounting some people based on attributes that could be out of their control may not be kind or fair in the grand scheme of things, it isn't unreasonable. Dating preferences inherently come with a certain amount of selfishness, and that is something all people should accept. All this is to say, find your crowd. Find the people that are compatible for you and your life. There are a lot of people that will date you even if you're fat. It's certainly less than if you were not fat, for all the reasons I already mentioned, but there is still a ton of people that don't care if their partner is fat. Just like there are plenty of disabled people who find loving partners that have no issue with their disability. There are people out there, especially if you have a decent personality. Just don't obsess about the traits that you don't have and focus on the ones you do have. Or try to improve the traits that you're lacking in. That's it. That's all I have for this video. I hope you enjoyed it. I'm interested in hearing other people's thoughts on it, and I will see you in my next video.